Hello, hello, and welcome to Prague Chattery 777. We are talking about Van der Graaf Generator, and we have made it to Still Life, 1976, I believe. This is right in the middle of the classic 70s Van der Graaf Generator period, and it's a stunning album. Um, they had recently gotten back together. They released God Bluff, which was a fantastic album, and the momentum just carried on so well with this. This is a fantastic, fantastic record. I've got what I believe to be a German pressing here. It sounds good. That's fine with me. Yeah, very busy period in Van der Graaf history. I think that's that 70s period of God Bluff, Still Life, and World Record. Probably their most densely packed, busy period. I mean, they were touring like crazy. They were writing fantastic, fantastic, fantastic music, and they were recording it at a furious pace. And yeah, it's an absolutely it's a classic album. I've mentioned in the last video. I think God Bluff might be my favorite album. I say that's my personal favorite. That's the album that comes to me, that resonates with me on a personal level. This album, Still Life, is I would argue is objectively their best record. I might be wrong, but I think there's a consensus there. I think a lot of the Van der Graaf fans look at this one and say, yeah, this is it, and I think it is. Fun side note: the album cover here is actually, I believe, is a still taken from a spark generated from an actual Van der Graaf generator. So that's some cool, little bit for the album art. I'll flip the side over. We got some lyrics. Then we have the band members: Peter Hamill, Guy Evans, David Jackson, and Hugh Banton. The classic lineup. The Van der Graaf sound is in perfect form right now, and like I said, the band they're just absolutely on fire at this point. I think some of the songs, at least one of the songs, La Rossa, was recorded back in the God Bluff sessions, and it didn't fit on the album. And I think it's good that those tracks ended up on here, because I think this is a really, really solid collection. So yeah, we throw on the first side, and we have Pilgrims is the opener. Maybe the weakest track on the album. It's still really, really good. Don't mind you, mind you. Still a really, really good song. There's a typical thing with Van der Graaf that their albums can kind of start quietly. It's kind of a quiet start, but it is a steady build, and there's moments kind of almost mysterious, away do. I'm not getting the lyrics right there, but those of you who know the album will know those mysterious sections that I'm talking about. And it's all about how we're all pilgrims, and it's up to us to find our own goals and our own dreams and our own destinies. And I think that's a strong theme with this album. Van der Graaf never really did concept albums. They never did albums where there's a central storyline, but they did do thematic albums. Like H2HE is definitely a meditation on loneliness, for example. And this, I think, is I guess it's kind of a march for existentialism or something, about how we all have to find our own goals, and it's up to us to pursue our dreams, and we're responsible for our own joy and our own happiness and our own work and our own lives. So it's deep stuff, and Pilgrims is good. It's a good way to open the album. Like I said, not a classic, but well, maybe it is a classic, but it's not my favorite. Then we move into Still Life, the title track for the album. Now this is where the classic Van der Graaf Generator darkness comes into play. The song is about the possibility that humanity one day cracks the code for immortality, and it kind of dwells and meditates on the questions of what would it be like if you never die, and what does that mean for us as people in our lives, in our culture, in our way of being. It's quite dark, because if you really think about it, living forever may not be the most ideal thing in the world. Kind of, it takes away the urgency that there is in life, the will and the drive to do things, and I think that's what the song is about. Really, really deep lyrics. It doesn't really have the madness. I think that's kind of a thing with this album. It may be objectively their best album, but a lot of the craziness that Van der Graaf is known for is kind of less present on this album. There are these really dynamic, quiet, intimate kind of moments in this song, Still Life. And there is a crescendo in the middle, and it kind of gets rocking, a little bit, and it a little bit is obviously not right. It does start rocking for a bit, but it doesn't have the same cacophony as say Pawn Hearts or H2HE or songs like Scorched Earth, an Arrow and whatnot. It's a little more subdued, but it's really good. It's again, Still Life is not my favorite song on the album, but the first two songs to me they're a steady rise. You kind of start out and the sun's just peeping over the horizon, and it takes a while for it to come up. But by the time the sun is up, we get to track 3, the final side on side 1, which is La Rossa, which is one of my all-time favorite Van der Graaf songs. Again, it's a love song, kind of like Lost, but I think this one is possibly one of the more optimistic Van der Graaf songs. Like Lost, for example, from H2HE, that is a song filled with despair. It's a love song, but it's a broken heart song. Your lady has left you, and you've gotten silly over it, and you're losing your 18-year-old mind. La Rossa is, I guess it's not necessarily a love song. It's kind of a sex song, actually. It's a very deep exploration into the experience of sex from the male psyche perspective, and it's just awesome. It's kind of, again, quite a quiet opener in it. Opening section that just turns into madness by the end. The Van der Graaf madness is definitely present on this one. I really like the middle section too, where it kind of crescendos down a little bit, and think of me what you will. Really good. That's typical of Van der Graaf. Hey, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the band, so most of what they do I think is really good. So anyway, we flipped the album over. Again, I've just got the sleeve here. There's the Charisma label again. Lovely. We flip the album over. We get side 2. The opening song is My Room, Waiting for Wonderland. And after the big crescendo at the end of La Rossa, this is a nice, quiet ballad, really. And it kind of became a classic Peter Hammill solo song. He played that quite a bit. The band never played it quite so much, I don't think. Probably because it is quieter and it may not fit so well with some of the other songs on the album, or of their repertoire. But really good, great song. I like the end. It's kind of got this instrumental, atmospheric kind of section, and songs about a stranded sea monster stranded on the shore. Wistful. And then the title, My Room, Waiting for Wonderland. It reminds me of me in my youth, at the ripe age of 17, sitting in my bedroom listening to albums like this, pondering the possibilities of life, but within the confines of my bedroom. Great stuff. I'm showing you the album some more, as you can see. Anyway, there's 2 songs on the second side. The second song and the final song of the album is Childlike Faith in Childhood's End. Now, this might be Van der Graaf Generator's defining moment. It's funny. When I think of, what are my favorite songs by the band, I almost don't even include this one because every time I hear it, it's just so profound and it's so big and it's so, it is the ultimate song. Again, it's carrying on that theme of it's up to us kind of a thing, and there's lots of there's it's not religious theme in terms of discussing the details of religion, but it's a human theme. It's about the human experience. It's about our role as human beings in this wild, wild world that we're living in. And God, it's quite difficult to talk about because when you hear it and you get it, when it takes you a while to hear this stuff. I mean, Van der Graaf Generator is certainly music that you gotta. It takes time to get into. You can't just throw it on and be like, oh yeah, I got that. That's great. You know, it probably took me 10 to 15 listens of Childlike Faith and Childhood Zen before I was really, really floored by it, and I realized, obviously you listen to it and there's that spark of, oh, I think there's something there. I think there's something there. When you finally get it, it's profound. That's really the word. That's the only word I can think of. There's a, for me, when I finally got it, it was I was only 17 or whatever. It was still like, where's this band been all my life? This is speaking for me. This is really putting what I'm feeling into words. That was the feeling that I got at the time, and I still get it. When I listen to the song, it is so grand. Very long. It's a 12-minute piece. Lots of different sections, but again, streamlined. It's typical of the 70s period of Van der Graaf, where it's I think they're more conscientious of their arrangements, and they're more conscientious of playing. They're thinking more about, what they're bringing to the palette for their, as far as their instruments go. And you get a lot of that detailed playing, especially in Childlike Faith and Childhood Zen. You get that it's great, and there's a lot of shifting time signatures and a lot of half the band's playing one thing, half the band's playing another, and then eventually it all meets up in the end, and it's great. And the last big wail in the death of mere humans, life shall start. Oh, it's a deep song. It's more than I can just blabber on about in a little silly video like this, but you should check it out. Like I said, it's one of those absolute Van der Graaf out-and-out classics. But the album as a whole, I think it works really well, front to back. You can throw it on, and it takes a bit of time, but it is absolutely essential music that I think more people should listen to. I think more people should discover Van der Graaf, and I'm not being snobby about that. I just think that as dark and strange as it is, once you get it, it's, at least in my experience, once I got Van der Graaf music and it kind of hit me and I got that profound feeling from it, it made my life better. That's the only way I can describe it. It made my life better, and I'm glad that I discovered Van der Graaf Generator. So yeah, Still Life. We've been talking about this album, classic album by Van der Graaf Generator, right in the middle of their 70s period, 1976. That's about all there is to say about it for me, so we will see you next time for World Record. See you later.